Okay, well, let's speak to David Wood, a technology analyst who joins me now. And David, I guess that first and foremost, it is pretty shocking and maybe not so surprising to people like you that a few lines of code, even an update, could bring the whole world to a standstill.
It is a wake-up call, and some people are saying we need, therefore, to learn how to have business continuity planning. But I would say more than that. We need civilizational continuity planning because, as you've pointed out, small bits of technology are connected together in ways that few people really understand. And unless we take more time to understand these connections, we'll probably have worse problems in the future. I think there'll be 4 reasons why we might have worse problems, even from apparently simple faults. The first is there is a greater degree of connectedness. There are all kinds of reasons why systems get connected together. The second reason is that these systems are increasingly opaque. Opaque in the sense that most of the public don't understand how they work or aren't aware that they're there. Most managers in business aren't aware that their businesses are reliant on that. But in a more fundamental sense, much of the technology we use is not fully understood by the technologists themselves, especially when we move into systems with deep learning and artificial intelligence.
Yeah,
and the third reason why this is complicated is,
because that's the worrying point, because this was with CrowdStrike, that is, a billion-dollar business, well-versed in tech, and yet even then doing an update has a huge global impact.
Well, the interesting thing is that CrowdStrike had a great reputation. They were ones who had been the heroes in many past cybersecurity incidents. They were the ones who helped shed light on the Sony Pictures hack by North Koreans, as it turned out, in 2014, which caused absolute chaos to Sony Pictures. They helped to diagnose the cause of the hacking of the Democratic National Committee in 2016, and since then they have by and large seemed to most people to know what they're doing. And the lesson to take away from this is even the good guys need to be scrutinized, and our testing systems need to be improved. I'm sure they did have testing systems. I can't believe that a large company like that didn't submit their new release to lots of internal scrutiny, but somehow it was insufficient. What they should have done differently, in my view, is instead of having a single rollout as a big bang all over the world, these updates should be pushed in a more graduated way. And so people think they're as good, but you can never tell in the real world. And so it should be rolled out a little bit, and then people should watch and figure out, oh, this isn't quite what we expected. Let's roll it back.
Maybe better coordination with at least emergency services, healthcare systems and localised services like that, which really have a huge impact and ramifications on healthcare and airlines, really worrying, of course, for airlines too. So the lessons learned are maybe greater scrutiny, as you say. What about the average person? What lessons can we learn from it? Because it's almost out of our hands, is it, or isn't it?
Well, most of us know that sometimes our credit cards fail for reasons we don't understand, which is why most people carry 2 different credit cards, perhaps. Increasingly, we're going to have to get back to that old-fashioned idea of having cash in our pockets as well, if we remember what cash is. And other systems need to duplicate things more. There are problems caused in hospitals because the electronic health record systems weren't available. So these providers of these services need to duplicate things themselves. Instead of just looking for efficiency, speed, we all need to focus on resilience and on safety. That's a cultural change.
Do you really think that will happen? Because we are very much well into the digital age. I mean, you mentioned going back to cash, but post-pandemic, it's almost impossible to pay for anything or anyone with cash. What do you think the government should be doing to look at things like this?
Well, there's quite a complicated argument as to whether software companies should accept more liability for problems in their releases. Historically, most software licenses, when you sign them, say, if anything goes wrong, the provider of the software accepts no responsibility. They can't be sued. And when people have queried this in the past, they said, well, software won't be developed at all if the developers are at some risk of being sued. when there are faults in their system. But I think that balance needs to be changed, and governments need to be ensuring that when companies have mistakes in their products, then they should expect to be fined or otherwise challenged for that. That's one thing the government can do. The second thing the government can do is another quite controversial idea, which is who has access to the most critical parts of our infrastructure. The problem here was that Microsoft were persuaded to allow third-party security vendors to have access at the root level of the operating system. And some people in Microsoft said many years ago, that's a mistake. You know, these other companies may not do such a good job as we in Microsoft will do. And there was a big argument over where that should go, and Microsoft were persuaded to allow third-party security providers such as CrowdStrike to have very privileged access to the operating system. This is a touchy subject, but I think we may need to look at it again to ensure that the things that are so critical for the survival of, let me say it again, our civilization, need to be protected very carefully.
David Wood, really good to have your insight and understanding of this situation. David Wood, technology analyst, thank you.
Thank you.